Hey, good evening, Bears fans. Sorry we're a day late, but it's the special Thursday edition of the House Hall Report. We had some conflicts yesterday, so we couldn't make it on. With me tonight, we got Woody. Good evening, Woody.
Good evening, everybody.
Dan couldn't be with us or will be with us later. He's got some stuff going on as well. And then we got Mike, the Bear fan, getting everything set up for us. So, hey, uh, we got a big week, but real quick, for those who weren't with us Sunday, we had a great game last Thursday. So good it generated this. The NFC Offensive Player of the Week last week, DJ Moore. He's already signing helmets with the 235 three touchdown inscription. Fifth player though with that in a single game since 2000. Man, I'll tell you what, Woody, that connection 1-2 connection was on point last Thursday, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying, yards after catch, but Justin Fields had that nice touchdown. You couldn't throw it any better. The tiptoe in back of the end zone. And I mean, it's not all yards after the catch. I believe that Justin Fields is seeing the field more, reading defenses. He's been throwing the last 2 weeks. He's been throwing to where the receiver is supposed to be, not where the receiver is at that point. That helps a lot. That confuses defenses. And this week we're going against another weak defense, so hopefully he can continue that.
Well, and like Darnell Mooney only had 4 targets, but one was PI in the end zone, just not called, but that was PI. Mooney had some good targets there, but it's more Mooney got no catches, which sucks. But Justin put the ball where the defense wasn't getting it. Like
Right.
only Mooney had a shot at it, and unfortunately Mooney didn't come up with it. But they were good balls that he put. The balls of Komet were good. And we'll talk about the run game a little bit. That concerns me, but man, you're right, Woody. He's been placing the ball in great places. His decision making the last 2 weeks has been really, really good. It's just the second half of the Broncos game is kind of a letdown. I think more of play calling, and we saw a little bit of that in the third quarter of this last game. But then they got back on track in the fourth quarter, and really it was nice to see. It was nice to see Justin throwing the rock around.
Right. And I like his athleticism too, because Cody Whitehair, they put him to center because of Lucas Patrick's concussion. Any other quarterback, a couple of those snaps would have been fumbles. And
I know, right?
actually, the one high snap that he grabbed it with one hand and actually got a fucking first down from it too. So,
Yeah,
like
it
I
was
said,
funny. When they said, "Well, Whitehair's going to go to center," I was like, "Okay, no big deal. He's an All-Pro center." And then some of the snaps, it might have been you or me over there.
Absolutely,
because they were terrible.
Yeah, I mean that's got to clean up. So hopefully, a week of practice with Cody Whitehair at center, that'll clean up a bit. But I think Justin Fields is more design runs last week, positive yards that he had. So hopefully, like I said, continues this week with a weak Vikings defense.
Well, we know his PFF's been good. We know that Moore's PFF's been good. Here's for the rookies, with the highest PFFs. 3 of them in that top list right there. Darnell White, Terrell Smith, and Gervin Dexter. I mean, really, the rookies we have going have been playing really, really well.
Yeah.
I can't complain with this draft class. Once again, Woody, it looks like Poles drafted some pretty good rookies.
Absolutely. Darnell Wright is probably the most consistent offensive lineman we had in the first 5 weeks. He's playing great. And with our injuries and defensive backs, Terrell Smith's playing fucking hell of a games, I'll tell you. So, yeah, I'm happy. And, we get Gordon back, a second-year guy. So we should be getting healthy here and hopefully starting to win some games.
Yeah, because you could tell Brisker's been looking for a little more help. He misses Gordon. Brisker's still been playing well in his second year, but I don't know if it's a little bit of a drop off from last year, but I think that his numbers will improve as some of that secondary gets healthy. And then another acquisition is TJ Edwards. And dude, I can't complain. Can you?
No, coming over for the Sheagles. What pointed me out there, and I pointed it out last week as well, 30 solo tackles. So he's tackling well.
Yeah. He's the second most tackler in the league.
Absolutely. So we had a problem with missed tackles, tackling like shit last year. Eddie Jackson, I won't mention any names, but I'm really happy with this linebacker crew that we have. We have large depth too. So
yeah,
we're getting there. It's going to be quite. I'm like I said, I'm excited. Even though we're 1-4, I'm excited to see what these players can do the end of this year and hopefully beginning next year we make a run.
So we've said this is going to be a 2-year project. We've said it since the end of last season when we, coming into the draft, we've been saying 2-year deal, 2-year deal. And I think now we're starting to see some of it. Now, after the Broncos loss, I was hot on the coaching staff, the lack of coaching, whatnot. Some fans were hot on, oh, get rid of Fields. We need to draft a kid out of USC. Guys, I mean, okay, Mahomes is a standard bearer, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty comparable. And we're going to do some more Fields here as well. I mean, so you've got that comparison with Mahomes. Then you look at his PFF in the red zone. I mean, look, he's got a top passing grade in the NFL in the red zone. And then let's go against a guy who a lot of people say is, well, we don't have the numbers on that, so we'll just talk about it. But this week, we get Cousins and Fields. So you guys let us know who you think you're going to do better. Let us know in the comments. But look, coming into the season, everyone said Kirk Cousins is probably the best quarterback in the division. We just showed you some of the comparables on Fields this year in his PFF in the red zone, how he compares against Mahomes. I mean, Woody, I don't think we draft a quarterback at all in this next draft, and that people just need to kind of shut their mouths with this draft a kid from USC. I think if anything, it's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
And then O-line or D-line, probably D-line, because I think the O-line is actually pretty good right now. You don't have to spend a first rounder. I mean, I don't know. What are you looking at for this game for Fields? I mean, Fields Cousins, is this a big showdown, a prove-it game within the division?
Oh, of course. Every divisional game is important. I said that from the beginning. You got to be good in the division. Whoever goes 0-6 or 1-5, you're unlikely to make the playoffs. Now, this week, I think Cousins is the best quarterback in the NFC North. That's just that's what I think. It is a showdown, but without Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins is going to be scrambling. All they have is Addison, Osborne, Hawkinson. Defensive line can't lax. We had 5 sacks last week. I said again, 5 sacks last week. We only had 2 in the first 4 weeks. So if we get the Cousins, the thing is that Kirk Cousins is probably the best play action passer quarterback that I've seen. I seen it last week. They gave Chiefs a run at home. So it's going to be tough for, I think, the Vikings to win without Justin Jefferson. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, it's going to be a showdown. I think Fields will do slight better because we have a lot more weapons.
Yeah, I think that Patrick Mahomes just got picked off. I think it's somewhat there of a showdown. I agree with you. I think Cousins is the best in the North until someone unseats him. Lions fans will say, oh, Goff is already there. Goff is not there yet. A lot of Bears fans, some Bears fans, I won't say a lot because a lot of them were saying, oh, dump them and draft someone. But Fields isn't there yet. You can see the potential. And Love, I think, is after we made him look like a rock star in week 1, he's kind of come back down to earth. Mm-hmm. So until either Goff, Fields, or Love unseats him, I think Cousins is a cream. I think they've got, even without Jefferson, he's got some weapons. He's going to throw. Now, he takes a lot of hits. He takes some sacks. The Bears gained 5 sacks last week. While I'm happy, I'm not impressed because they hit a guy who's taken the only person in the NFL who's taken more sacks than Justin Fields was the guy who's in Washington. So I'm not as impressed, but it's nice to see them getting pressure, and hopefully we can build on that. And we talked injuries, so let's hop into that, Woody. Let's talk Bears injury report. Yep. My God. Now, this is everything. This is our IR guys and everyone finally. I was happy to see Jalen Johnson full practice today.
Yep. I'm glad to see, Gordon come back, see what he can do. We'll probably, like I said, use him as a nickel. Eddie Jackson, I'm surprised he was even at limited, because his foot is what fucked his season up last year. Roshan Johnson, Lucas Patrick, concussion protocol, but we do have Devontae Foreman coming back to play this week. Plus, we signed Darrington Evans off the Miami Dolphins practice squad, and we'll see what happens. And Terrell Smith looks like he's back. He had a little bit of a injury on Thursday, so we were getting a lot of these guys back, and so we'll see what they see how they perform.
Well, the only ones that jump out to me is Cole Kmet with a hamstring being limited. Yep. That's worrisome. EQ having a hamstring. Look, EQ is not a big part, hasn't been a big part of the receiving game, but he is because he does a lot of great blocking. And yep. I think St. Brown, if he doesn't get to play, we'll miss that. But the one that I think is funniest on the injury report is Mercedes Lewis. Injury, rest.
That's old age rest.
When you've been in the league as long as he has, you can just say, "Hey, coach, I don't practice on Thursdays, okay? I get the day off." But you look at our list, and now let's look at the Vikings, man. Not that big of a list.
No. The thing that sticks out is Jordan Addison. That would be their other star with Justin Jefferson out. So, an ankle for a wide receiver and a hamstring, that's pretty significant right there. So, and, Davenport as well. I mean, he's back to full, but he's one of their star sackers and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a little bit limited, but like I said, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's man, it's that time of the year where we're going to see some injuries and stuff, but I mean, what can you really do? I mean, these things just happen. I'm not worried, Woody, as much about our O-line as I thought I would be.
Yeah, it's they're gelling. Even though they're fluctuating, they're gelling. Jenkins, what, 39 snaps, no pressures last week, or 37? So if he can keep on that pace, Justin Fields will be protected, and maybe he can stay in the pocket to make those throws to our weapons. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
Is it possible, Woody, that maybe like last year and maybe even this year, early in the season, we've given the O-line a bad rap?
Yeah, because that was the last couple of years is that our quarterbacks were been sacked. We were like top 5 every year, it seemed like, and especially last year when we didn't have a solid offensive line for more than 2 games in a row.
Well, then when you look at the numbers though, and you see how long Fields holds it, and some of the other things, I think that kind of Fields holding the ball as long as he does makes it a lot harder on O-line. But the fact that they were able to give him 5 to 6 seconds more times than not, even last year, everyone got it wrong. We got it wrong. The national guys who make the millions of dollars to talk about this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone, I think, has gotten it wrong on the O-line. Like, yes, we still needed to draft the guy, but they really weren't terrible.
No.
So I'm thinking, as we wait for some Vikings fans to come on here tonight, I think what we're looking at in the future as we go to year 2 of this is we're going to be looking at D, edge, and I mean, I guess we can talk about Claypool being traded a little bit more now than we did Sunday, but now with Claypool being gone, Could you imagine DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, and now, of course, it makes who we pay easy because now we're just going to give Mooney some money. So Mooney's your number 3. He's going to be down from your 2 to your 3. And Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, dude, with this O-line shaping up to be actually pretty darn good, and Fields showing the ability to lay some balls and make good decisions. Yeah, I mean, what else are we going to be looking at to add for year 2?
Well, we're like I said, we're solid at the linebacker. We have plenty defensive backs, maybe another safety because we don't know how Eddie Jackson's going to work out. The other thing is the cornerback. We don't know what Jalen Johnson, this is his last year as well. So we don't know if we're going to give him an extension. Like I said, the wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., imagine him, like you said, imagine him on our team. But, who are we going to get rid of all those weapons we have? And plus, we don't want too many big name players on our team because, everybody will be fighting for the ball.
Well, I mean, we didn't replace Claypool with a big name anything. So, I mean, if we draft Marvin Harrison, if we got 2 picks in the first round, and we used 1 on Marvin Harrison Jr., and we used 1 on a defensive edge, I think I would be happy. And I think Bears fans in general would be ecstatic. And then because the other question for next year is going to be, do we sign Ngakoue to, because remember he's on a 1-year deal. Valid points on Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson. I think, but that's second, third round stuff possibly. First round though, I mean, I don't see a wide receiver and defensive edge. And look, if we end up with the number 1 pick, well, we're not drafting a quarterback. So does Poles trade away a number 1 pick for the second year in a row? I think he would, because you go to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, if you can still get Marvin Harrison Jr. and then pick up an additional first round pick for year 3, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would like. It's like the Sheagles. I hate to mention them, but they get Jalen Carter, their first round pick, and look what he's doing. We need a rusher, definitely. We don't like you said. We don't know about Yannick. Dexter is filling in right. Billings had a good game last week as well, so we need that edge rusher. I don't like to compare teams, but look at the Chargers. I know they're old and everything. Look what Khalil Mack's doing and Joey Bosa. Khalil Mack had 6 sacks last week.
Yeah.
It would be a good 1-2 punch on those edge rushers. I like to see that.
Notice about Ngakoue though, he's getting there. He's creating pressure. Play after play after play, he's a half a step from getting the quarterback. So he's making them release the ball. Whether it's on time or not is debatable. But he's doing some work. I think you're right. I mean, look, people are going to talk about us not getting Carter, but that situation was probably the best situation Carter could have gone to because of the other personnel there and the coaching there. Is probably the best situation for him NFL career-wise, just to be able to stay in the league. So if he had come to the Bears, I don't think his production's the same. So we go there, and then we got Brent with a question here. Are you guys still happy with Justin? And he goes on to ask, what if Caleb Williams is still there?
No.
Well, Brent, I think we've kind of answered that a little bit tonight. Caleb Williams is not going to be drafted by the Chicago Bears. Some of the fans will say, we need a quarterback, give up on Justin. But why would we give up on a guy whose numbers compare to so many really, really good quarterbacks at this stage in their career? He's number 2 in the league in touchdowns right now. The last 2 weeks, his PFF has been through the roof. Why would I want to rebuild again with this roster I'm already building? If anything, if we have the number 1 pick, like I just said a few seconds ago, and I think Woody would agree with it, I think we trade the number 1 pick out again.
Yeah.
And let someone else draft Caleb Williams.
And plus, Caleb Williams, we're not one of the 5 teams he mentioned. Plus, he said that he would make more money if he stays at his extra year at USC. So, like I said, I didn't want, even if we needed a quarterback, say if Justin Fields was taking a shit this year, I wouldn't want Caleb Williams anyway. That's just me. Everybody knows who I want. I want Bo Nix out of Oregon. Plain and simple.
I don't think we'll get Bo Nix either, though. Like I said, there's no reason. Now, a team that could need Bo Nix, and I want to welcome to the show, is my old battle buddy. We served in Iraq together. Unfortunately, he is a Vikings fan. He's a member of of the WVO. Let's welcome Rob Haspels to the show. Good evening, Battle. How you doing?
What's up, buddy?
Right.
So you're going to take the double L this week, huh?
What's that?
Very
You're taking
good
the
to see
double
you,
L
bud.
this week.
Yeah, good to see you guys too. Yeah, it's been one of those times. I figure what better place to come to find out what you do when you think you actually have a good team, but then you just suck for fucking no reason. How do you guys do this year after year? I'm new to this.
So Rob, weren't you? I remember on the Valhalla report. Did you say you guys were going to win like 15 games this year?
No, I was never anything like that.
It was like in that 13 to 15 range, I believe.
No, the highest I was ever at this year was 11, and I said realistic window 9 to 11 with the Lions winning 13. I picked the Lions to win 13 and take the division. That might stick. 11's probably closer to them too, but.
So, are you guys going to be a team that's going to look at Caleb Williams or Bo Nix for next year with Kirk Cousins not having a contract?
Well, if this keeps on going the way it is, I mean, there'd be nothing I'd like better than Caleb Williams. And here's my deal. The Vikings have never drafted number 1 overall ever. You know, it never had the number 1 pick, never taken like the best quarterback out of any draft ever, you know, anything like that. If we were, and we're still not sitting in the number 1 hole slot to pick, you know, and we have a lot of football left to go. And the Vikings are that kind of team that'll turn around and win like 6 or 7 more just to fuck our draft position. If we were to mortgage draft picks over the next 3 years and package things together and do whatever it takes to move up to number 1, I would want to do it for Caleb Williams and only Caleb Williams, not Drake May, not Bo Nixon, not Caleb Williams and only Caleb Williams. That's what I'm.
Rob, you know, we hold the number 1 pick right now via Carolina. So, you know, and we'll take Justin Jefferson off your hands and a couple first rounders maybe. I don't know. I don't know if we would do that because we don't want to pay Jefferson big money right now. But, you know, it looks like the Bears might have the number 1 pick. As long as Carolina can keep losing, we've got the number 1 pick again this year. But let's talk about this week. So, look, you're down your top weapon. You just lost to Kansas City at home in a heartbreaker. You guys can't seem to win 1-score games this year.
We can't seem to fucking hold on to the football is why we can't seem to win games. But that I'll get into that.
So what's your thinking for this War Week matchup, division matchup against Chicago? Where do you think your Vikings stand?
So on the Hell Hour last night, I said at this point in time, for the Vikings to be able to beat any team, not just the Bears, but any team, they have to play mistake-free football. We haven't seen it yet. We're likely not to see it. And then with being down Justin Jefferson, normally I would say just the way that the rosters sit and everything else, if we had Jefferson, I'd say we go in, if we play, keep the penalties down, don't turn the ball over, we come out with the W. The way it sits right now, they haven't played a clean game yet. They keep making dumb penalties. And it's not the kind that's really going to grab headlines like the Vikings had 11 penalties for 120 yards. No, it's the penalties where we're in the red zone and it's 3rd and goal to score and everything. And because somebody gets a stupid penalty, we get backed up. We end up kicking a field goal or just get stopped on downs or some dumb shit. Or we don't convert a 3rd down on a drive that we already went 70 yards or some shit.
So you're catching a Bears team, Rob. You're catching a team that is hot.
We're catching a team that beat one of the shittiest teams in the league in the Broncos. And not a very impressive.
You're catching a team that's getting hot with a quarterback that's finding a rhythm with his number 1, with DJ Moore. The last 2 weeks, he's been finding his rhythm with his tight end and other components of the offense. This Bears team in the first half has been absolutely dominant. 2 weeks in a row, they screwed it up big time. We all admit that against Broncos. They fluttered a little bit on Washington. But let's be real. Washington has a top tier defense in this league that's better than projected actually, or is better than your defense. So I mean, how do you stop this Bears offense come Sunday that's been on a roll and is feeling it? Quite honestly,
for being a top 10 front seven or a top 10 line, the Commanders sure didn't look like it, and I don't know how you let wide receivers get that open all the time. That I don't know if they just overlooked you guys or if they're just overrated. What the deal is? Yes. In terms of rankings, I think the last I looked overall, Minnesota's defense had moved up to like number 15 or 16 in overall rankings. We absolutely cannot let wide receivers get back there. But the thing of it is, we don't play the same thing that the Commanders do. Despite the fact that of the exotic blitz pressure packages that we bring, we've been keeping safeties back there to stop people from going over the top, not seeing as much man coverage as what I'd like, which definitely does not play into the strong suits like Byron Murphy. By the way, getting back to what I was talking about, I did pick you guys to beat us 31-30.
okay, well, let's get into
all things being
hold on, Rob. So Woody, Rob's got us beating them 31 to what?
30.
31-30. So a 1 point game.
Yep.
Let's do these predictions now. Woody, what's your prediction?
Well, my question to Rob is, without Justin Jefferson and without a standard running game, I don't think Madison is the answer, or Cam Akers. Who do you think is going to step up? You think Addison? You think Hawkinson is going to score 30 points? Or are you guys going to score that on defense? Because we all know that your defense isn't there really, but you guys played Kansas City tough.
Right.
So
well, first off, Addison has twice as many touchdowns as Jefferson does anyways, or damn near. Jefferson did get a lot of the yardage and everything. I'm looking at you guys.
Stop you right there real quick, because I don't mean to stop you, but I need to stop you for a second, because sure, that's true with Addison. That's because Jefferson was there. Jefferson's been pulling the double.
And I'm not saying that's not because, but between Addison, Hawkinson, KJ Osborne and TJ Hawkinson have had a case of the drops. Well, you look at what's going on with the Vikings right now. We're 1-4. We're not making the playoffs. The best player just went out until week 10. I think the pressure's off. They can relax a little bit and just focus on making the plays that they usually make. And then you add Jalen Naylor and Brandon Powell to the mix. A couple years ago, when the Rams were on their Super Bowl run, Brandon Powell was pretty key in the playoffs and the couple games leading up to the playoffs in helping them get to where they need to be. I do think that Madison and Cam Akers will together at least have 100 yards of rushing on the ground against you guys. You guys don't exactly have a defense that's going to stop anybody either. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. That's why I said 31-30. I think we'll trade punches.
Woody, before we get in, this hasn't been updated. I think we all took the L last week, didn't we, Woody? So you're on top at 2-3. Dan's at 2-3. Claude's at 2-3. I'm in 1-4. I got the same record as the Bears and the Vikings. So Woody, you're atop the leaderboard. What's your pick for this week?
I think it's hard to say, because my caption says, is Justin Fields going to have 4 touchdown passes in 3 consecutive weeks? But the way, like I said, the way the Vikings played gave Kansas City all they could handle. And am I right, Rob? Vikings have 7 total turnovers this year so far.
8.
And
if you count Justin Jefferson's really weird fumble into the end zone that created the touchback, that's 9.
So 9.
Okay, so
it doesn't technically count as a turnover, but in my mind, it accomplishes everything that a turnover would do.
Sure.
So I count it. I'm saying we got 9 turnovers. I think if you look on the books, they're going to say
they got the short answer is they got 8 to 9, depending on how you look at it.
Okay, so I say, Kirk Cousins doesn't throw too many interceptions, but I think we're going to have 2 turnovers. And I said the other night too, I think the Bears are going to win 28-25, Santos with the game-winning field goal.
That is our theme here, the Chris Santos game winner. You know, I'm looking at a Bears team that's progressively been getting better every week. The coaching failed, complete epic fail. You know, the Bronco game, the complete fail on both sides of the ball, play calling. I think Eberflus is starting to realize there's been some talk that he's going to hire someone to help with the defense. I think he's starting to see that he needs a DC or at least a specialist to help with the defense. So we get all the Lovie Smith and all that, those kinds of rumors. But I'm seeing a Bears team on both sides of the ball that's on the rise, which is kind of what we somewhat expected at some point in the year, that this is going to become a Bears team that you don't want to play as they get better. And they're getting better. I think we're really seeing that on the offensive side more than defensive. I discount some of the defensive stuff last week because we played against a quarterback who takes more sacks than anyone in the NFL. And now we're getting a guy who takes more hits and sacks than most in the NFL. Kirk is always up there and taking hits and sacks. So
yeah, way too many.
It's not that Minnesota's O-line is the best protection money can buy. So I think we'll continue to get pressure, which is great for our confidence. I think the Bears win this one. I'm going to go 35-24 actually on this one. And yes, Fields will have 4 touchdowns, 4 more passing touchdowns. I just think the problem that Kansas City that the Vikings have now is they're going to be looking at more, and Moore's still going to get more plays, just like Jefferson gets Jefferson plays. Mooney has been the quiet guy, and the Bears have been slowly trying to work towards him. We saw it last week with the one touchdown that should have been a PI, wasn't a PI. But you know, they're showing he's showing the go there. I just think this team is on the rise, whereas the Vikings right now are kind of not on the downslope, but they're kind of in a quagmire right now. They're in a little bit of a crap. We're 1-4. How do we fix this kind of mode? And just when we think we're getting there because we gave KC all they can get, we lose our best weapon. And I think that really creates problems for them in their facility. And I think that'll translate to the field this week. So the Bears are kind of catching a break, I'll say, by Minnesota being in this situation they're in right now.
I say the only way the Bears lose this game is bad play calling. And we know Bears, Getsky, whatever, they do some bad play calling. Take the second half against Denver. So that I'm thinking that's the only way. Yes, Jack Hughes, that's the only way Bears lose this game. So I've
got 2 schools of thought to have you guys consider. I'm going to talk about the offense, and then I'm going to talk about defense real quick, and then have you guys hit me back. Now, defense, how do we approach Justin Fields and DJ Moore? Do you guys remember about 3 years ago, was it 4 or whatever, Brian Flores is coaching the Dolphins. They played Baltimore. The defense that he drew up for that particular game frustrated Lamar Jackson so bad. And yes, they just kicked the shit out of Baltimore. It frustrated Lamar Jackson so bad that he went on the sideline, threw his helmet, and had to basically be benched because it was frustrating his game that much. I think that's what you're going to see Minnesota throw at you guys. And then from an offensive perspective, we already know that with Jefferson not being in the lineup to take the top off the defense, that we're going to be looking at 8 men in the box when it's an obvious run play, and they're going to be bringing the heat on anything that they believe to be a pass play. Addison is going to have to torch them enough times to back them out of it. Everybody says, yeah, we're going to have to establish the run and everything else. I think they're going to have to use the pass with Addison and Hawkinson to burn that heat enough times to back them out to playing an honest defense. And then you complement it with the run game. That's what I think Minnesota's going to throw at you offensively and defensively. But again, you know what? I didn't think that they'd be turning over the ball 3-4 fucking times a game either and losing everything that they've lost so far this year. So we'll see what happens, guys.
The thing about the offense and stuff like that, you got to think Herbert's out. Okay. Rashawn, he's out because of concussion. So all we have is Devontae Foreman. and we signed Durante, Evans. So I'm thinking that how do you stop? Because I think we're going to be having more passes because of the lack of our running game. Do you still throw 8 in the box to try to contain Fields in that pocket, or do you play the zone defense and play the pass?
Well,
no, I was saying you guys were going to put 8 in the box against us. I'm not saying we're doing that against you. No.
Oh, okay. So
I talked about our defensive plan, then our offensive plan. Yeah, I don't think we're in a position. It's going to look like we have 11 in the box a lot of the times because you're not going to understand a lot of these exotic bliss packages that Flores is bringing, and it's going to look goofy. It will fuck with Fields. I guarantee it will.
So Rob,
can he beat somebody if the pressure doesn't get there? Yes, that's what Fields has to do. If our rush can't get there, or whatever blitzers we're bringing from the safety position, corner position, or the linebackers, or a combination of all the above, if it's a zero blitz, if that pressure doesn't get to Fields and he's quick enough releasing the ball, he can burn that every time and get those 3-4 touchdowns.
So Rob, what you're saying, when we're looking at defense, is going to look goofy like you. Okay, enough of that. Look, I think our run game. I think Woody brings up a good point with the Bears' run game. Our top the top 2 running backs we've been going to all year are out. Kudos for our fullback carrying the ball last week, and he didn't do a bad job from never having really gotten touches in his entire NFL career, which is kind of amazing. But I think we're going to see, Woody, to answer your question there, I think we'll see more designed runs and for Justin. But the other thing is, Robin, you spoke that I thought of, is the growing pains in week 1, 2, and 3, and we were bitching about, making Justin a pocket passer. But I think he's established now that over the last 2 games, that he can pocket pass. So the run game, while still important for Chicago, I think Justin's toolbox grew over the last 5 weeks. So the problem that I see Minnesota having is they're still going to have to stop Justin from running. They're going to have to stop the Bears' run game is not as good. That's our one depleted area, but it's still potent. It can be potent with Justin for sure. Devontae Foreman, we'll see how he does. I think that's on offense. We're going to see, like I agree with you, more passing, and it's going to be hard for them to stop. The DJ Moore after the catch if they're playing man on him. If they're playing zone, then we just pick the zone apart. So it's going to be interesting, but. Let me bring this guy on. He's always got a dissenting view that we enjoy and we love. Here's John Sullivan. Welcome to the show, John.
What's up? It's not.
So we're talking War Week here, Vikings Bears. What are you looking at for this game?
Well, I'm looking at how much pressure you can get on Kirk Cousins. Is our offensive line going to play good? They have not played good at all. Kirk Cousins get hit way too many times. Can we eliminate the turnovers? It looks like we can't. We haven't been doing it. And now we're playing without Justin Jefferson. So can Kirk Cousins distribute the ball and spread the ball around and have a balanced offensive attack? We're going to see these. We're going to find out these answers here come Sunday. So
I said Kirk Cousins, not by a landslide, but he's the best quarterback in the NFC North, and he can distribute the ball all over the field if he has the time. He's one of the best play-action passers in the league. Now, the question to the Viking fans. As a Viking fan, are you nervous about Justin Fields?
Not necessarily. I think he'll make his plays and everything. Am I worried about him just burning us on the ground and in the air? No, because like I said, our defense is a bit different than what you guys have seen before, and it's designed to frustrate quarterbacks that have Justin Fields' skill set. They did that on purpose, knowing that the quarterbacks of the future, and I don't know what. Actually, it brings up a question I was going to have with the Bears having the number 1 pick, whether you guys take a quarterback or not. But we'll get to that later. But with a Jordan Love, a Justin Fields, and then, Goff is just a stopgap in Detroit, they'll probably get a guy like that. Oh, one other point. Kirk Cousins has distributed the ball all the way around. Everybody just drops the motherfucker, especially when it's in the end zone to win games.
Yeah,
Okay.
hey, John, I think, John, the one thing you'll hear from us Bears fans, especially on this show, we all agree on this on House Hard Report that right now Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in the division. So my question to you, John, is how close do you think the other quarterbacks in the division are to unseating Cousins for that position?
Jared Goff, I think, is the closest. Justin Fields, I don't know. Maybe give him a couple years, depending how he turns out. If he doesn't get hurt, he has the right coaching staff to suit him to his best abilities. I mean, he threw for 4 touchdowns? How many yards did he throw for last week?
The last two games he threw for 4 touchdown passes.
4 touchdowns. How many yards did he have last week against Washington?
282.
Yeah,
282. That's not bad. That's actually really
301
good.
the week before that.
My question to Rob about the defense, you said about they run different packages like teams. As you see, you guys are 1-4 like us. Are you thinking that defensive scheme does not work because you guys are 1-4?
No,
I don't think so.
I mean,
I think the turnovers is what's killing us. That's really what's killing us, and the pass protection for Kirk Cousins has been the killers.
I mean, you guys have to understand from our perspective, you guys asking us about Fields, we just faced Patrick fucking Mahomes. And to be honest, he didn't have a career day by any stretch of the imagination against him. Look at where we're coming here.
Some thoughts there. Producer Mike threw up. I love the Lions fan. This is a Lions fan, obviously. Goff is by far the best quarterback in the division in 2023. I'd like to see the numbers on that. I still think Cousins is the guy to beat. Rob, I've said this, and John, you've heard me say this before. I think Cousins is worth every penny Minnesota has paid him. He was not a bad contract for you guys at all. I think this is Quezzy trying to move forward by not signing him to a deal yet. And maybe you guys are going to go for a quarterback in the draft. And Rob, to answer your question, there's no way in hell the Bears are going to try to draft the quarterback after the way Fields has been playing the last couple of weeks. If he continues like he's been doing the last few weeks, that quarterback conversation in Chicago is over. Now, if he shows up and craps the bed, 9 out of the next 10 games, we may revisit that. But as of today, after these last 2 games against the Broncos and Washington, no, I don't think we're drafting a quarterback. We do hold the number 1 pick right now because we have Carolina's pick. Woody and I were talking before you guys came on. I think we trade out of the number 1 for a second year in a row if we have it, and get once again take another haul that's going to improve this Bears franchise even further for next year's run.
Let's go back to this Bear fans comment. Of course, they're going to say that Goff is the best quarterback in the division, and
he's a
Lions fan. And then when you ask them why, they're going to state wins. Yeah. Of course. But, unless it was the Vikings, like last year when the Vikings were winning and everything, then it was everything else. It was, well, he's not the best of anything because of DVOA and because of this and that, how many choir practice appointments he has on Tuesdays and, and the price of tea in China on Wednesday. And, they're just going to hate no matter what. I think you guys are on the right track. I mean, Cousins has the numbers and if people would actually catch half of the fucking balls that they dropped, we'd probably be a 4-1 team instead of a 1-4 team.
No, Rob, last season, how many backup quarterbacks did you beat? That was the number 1 right there.
Well, and here's the thing too, John, is like
it's always something.
Hold on, hey Rob, hold on. In this week's game, gentlemen, we have the 2 quarterbacks with the most touchdowns in the league.
Yeah.
Curtin's we're tied for second, or Fields is tied for second, and Kirk Cousins has 13 in the lead. So, yes, he's been distributing the ball all over the field.
And just think if people would hang on to the fucking ball that he distributes.
Well, hey, Rob, you should know by now. You give a player a big-time contract, they're going to shit the bed.
All right, hey, fellas, here we go. Prepare to laugh. Here comes the Lions excuse. Well, they have more drops than the Vikings and Bears. So I thought, but look, okay, so let's talk about that. Look, this is Vikings-Bears week. but the Lion fan wants to talk. So wasn't it, Rob and John, you heard this on Valhalla when we did your preseason show.
Was it drops in the end zone for touch that would have been touchdowns?
Well, weren't the Lions fans screaming about how great their wide receiving core is?
Yeah.
So look at this. I know we get them later in the year. When do you get the Lions next?
Way
December. That's
way
December.
in.
Yeah, we give them in December.
I mean,
yeah.
It's literally of our last 4 games, 2 of them are against the Lions.
Yeah, we get them like that. We get them 2 out of 3 towards the end of the season too, so they can keep flapping their gums because they beat they beat Green Bay, who really their week 1 win was not because of the quarterback, it was because of their running back destroyed us. Aaron Jones took week 1 over in Chicago. And that was his game. I mean, kudos to him. But we both have a great game this week. I know we'll be streaming it here. Let me do some before we get back to the discussion. Before I forget, let me get back to this. Hey guys, we're getting closer. We only need less than 500 now as we push it to 10Ks. Go to Mike the Bear Fan. Give us a like. Give us a share. Share the content. Rob, you guys do Valhalla normally on what nights?
Supposed to be on Tuesdays. Lately, we've been running on Wednesdays because it's just a weird point of the year with schedule conflicts and stuff.
And we normally run Wednesdays here, but this week, for instance, we ran Thursday. We should be back to next Wednesday. So you'll have Valhalla and House Hall possibly run at the same time. Our friends up at Green Bay, the Pack Turds, they have the Frozen Tundra on Friday. Main event, Mike and company, are on Monday night, and then they do an open mic afterwards. I usually miss because I'm picking up the kid from football. And then every morning, every weekday, we got the phone in that all 4 teams can call in. That's 11 a.m. Eastern. Out of all the NFC shows, only the ones that main event host, because they're weird like that, those East Coast guys. So 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern daily for that. But look, we have the stage right now in the NFC
Sorry,
North.
Woody.
It's
That's
Bears
right.
Vikings. It's Bears Vikings. It should be a good week. I think this is kind of going to tell Bears fans if we're trending the right direction. And honestly, John, I think this has to tell you guys a little bit how you're trending with this game. Would you agree?
I would agree. So we're going to see how Kirk Cousins and the rest of the offense can gel without Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So John, what's your prediction for the game?
I feel like if I give a prediction, I jinx us.
You should be on the East Coast.
I should be. I'm not going to give a prediction. I'm not.
Oh boy,
come on, John. We all have
another Kirk Herbstreit because he's hosting the game.
You have to with that profile bet.
oh, here comes Kirk popping right on.
I've been here.
I'm gonna say 30 to 27 Vikings.
Woo! And
So
Mike,
what,
we didn't
so,
get yours.
so what? The winning field goal by Blair Walsh?
Gary Anderson, man, get it right.
Yeah.
Mike,
Get it right,
your
dumbass.
prediction. What's your prediction, Mike?
Well, technically, I believe the line is the Vikings have us by 3, but without Justin Jefferson, and I believe we'll have all of our defensive backs in. Our defensive line is playing better. You guys' turnover ratio is a -9, which isn't looking too well.
No.
Is 4, which isn't too good either. But I got us winning 27-20.
All right, hey, real quick, I want to address this with Mike Fisher. Yeah, Mike, that's for the season. We've been, we were talking about Fields over the last 2 weeks. His QBR the last 2 weeks has been 110, 15, somewhere up there. He's up in the 100s.
Look, there's a Lions fan. It's QBR. I knew it had to be something to make the case.
I mean, his QBR the last 2 weeks has been astronomical. Week 1 was terrible. The first 3 weeks, actually. Look, guys, I think this is going to be a great game. Now, look, we're going to have the game on here Sunday. We do pregame at 11:30, and then we will have the game broadcast out here on House Hall Report for everyone to watch. I know we've got guys who are watching from overseas, military deployed, military station. Love you guys, who like Rob and I have served or are serving. Um, so we definitely enjoy it. And for people who live like in places like Idaho and Wyoming, we got fans all over the place. So it's great that we're able to give you guys a way to watch it. Oh, we got another prediction here. Mike Fisher, 27-24 in overtime, says a Lions fan. I guess that would be a Chris Santos game-winning field goal.
Mike Fisher, stop copying my fucking lines, please. I know what you're doing. Santos with the winning.
Is that Darcy?
No. Darcy
No,
would have
okay,
this
all right.
game being like,
Okay.
Bears -83, Vikings -84 or something like that. That's
Yeah.
Darcy.
Okay.
Right. And
like
the streaming thing, Ken, make sure that keeps happening. We'll talk offline, but I might be a person in the next season that's relying on that streaming. We won't.
Hey, Battle, you can always call me. You know that. So
Yep. But at any rate, this group or this page, what we're trying to get built with our podcast and the Lions podcast, the Packers, everything is getting built up good. Guys, please keep supporting, Mike and Woody and Ken and this show too and everything. I'm on here because it's fun to BS with these guys, fun to talk a little shit, but it's fun to talk football and just hang out,
I'm very emotional person. I'm glad you said the Bears are going to win.
You know what's great about our division, guys? I think we're the only division in football that has a bunch of podcasts where we're all looped in together, and we're doing things not just as our individual teams, but as a division. Always happy to have you guys on the show. I haven't been on Valhalla for a little bit because of my scheduling, and of course, you guys have been on a couple nights. We've been on. And look, I think and we know sports exactly. This is an NFC North thing. We all do our own thing, but it really is, and I enjoy seeing my battle. After all these years, we get to see each other at least online. We didn't have our unit reunion this year, or the one we were trying to plan. Maybe we'll get together in person soon. But yeah, hey Mike. Well, yeah, Mike says it's his first visit. Hey, welcome to the family. We are more than happy to have all four teams in the division represented here because, look, I say this too. NFC North fans, we know our teams well, but we each know each other's teams really well too.
Yeah.
I know that, dude, you were here last week. Come on. But no, we all get invested in each other's teams here, which is great. I think part of that, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the NFC North in general just gets overlooked. Period. Yep. We're not flashy. We're not the sexy division ever. Even when Green Bay was, the Aaron Rodgers Green Bay, they really didn't get the love either. And I think it's a division thing. So we take pride in our teams, but we also take pride in our division.
But at the same time, when was the last time the NFC North has represented the Super Bowl? That's another thing that kind of puts a clamp on us.
2010.
Yeah, the Bears were in 6.
It looks like we're about to run out of time pretty quick, but I have one quick question since I'm on the Bears show with Bears fans.
Yeah.
You guys miss Roquan?
No, since the linebacker crew, and I know he's ranked linebacker, seems like when the Bears players leave Chicago, they do good. Like I was telling Mike the other day, Sam Mustipher, the starting center for Baltimore Ravens, is in the top 5 in centers played this year so far.
Right.
So
I would actually.
I do miss Roquan Smith because I think he was quick, running the rush down, east, west, north, south, whatever. He could play anywhere. But with our linebackers now, with TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Sanborn, I think some Bear fans, we do forget him.
I think Sanborn made it real easy to forget him because last year Sanborn jumped in and put up the same numbers. I think the other thing is that the amount of money Roquan cost is now what our entire three of our starting linebackers cost, and we're still getting the production, and we improved as a team. So, Roquan, I think he was a good locker room guy in Chicago. He was great with the fans. He's a really great player. I have 3 of his helmets here signed. I still like Roquan, but I think we don't miss him because Jack Sanborn really is the reason. This undrafted free agent rookie from Wisconsin came in last year and made us all go, oh, here's a guy who can do the same thing and cost less money. And now we can go get Edwards and Edmonds, and they're doing well. So I don't miss him in that regard. Now, would we be better right now, would say, with Edwards and Edmonds and Roquan? The argument could be made that sure we would be, but Sanborn, dude, he's probably the most underrated linebacker in if not just the division, if maybe the entire NFL right now.
Ken, speaking of undrafted free agent rookie linebackers, there's a young man out there named Ivan Pace Jr. that is really, really, really looking forward to meeting Mr. Justin Fields in a very up close and personal way, and he'll get his chance to on Sunday.
Oh man, if they can catch him, Rob. If they now, hey. He's been
having a hell of a year, though. You got to give it to that kid, man. That Ivan Pace Jr. has been having a hell of a year for us.
Before we do get off, since you asked us the question, I got one for you, Rob.
Sure.
If the Vikings keep taking a fucking shit, okay, do you think Kirk Cousins removes his no trade clause?
I think it's very situationally dependent. Look at that big old military term I'm using, Ken.
Oh,
yeah. I don't think Kirk is going to do anything unless it's a scenario something like this. Brock Purdy gets hurt again in San Francisco. That team is like, it wouldn't surprise me if they went 17-0 and won the Super Bowl the way they're playing, right? Let's say a team like San Fran needs a quarterback and they need one 4 days from now. I could see something like that. Kirk saying, yeah, I'll waive my trade clause. You guys may not be bringing me back next year. You're non-committal. Go ahead and send me. Anything short of a scenario like that, or Miami, Tua goes down. A team that's really, really got a shot. But you look, I mean, he's not going to go to a team like the fucking Jets or anything. I mean, why would he? Why would he uproot and move for someplace that, unless it's pretty much one of those sure track teams? And here's the thing, the teams that got their shit lined up in a group, unless there's a major injury to somebody, they've got everybody they need already. They don't need a quarterback until they do. Right. That's why I'm saying I don't think you're going to see anything. But like I said, just be watching one of these big teams, like your San Francisco or your Miami, maybe even Buffalo. Josh Allen goes down. They're not the greatest either.
Well, let's look at Kirk Cousins. He's the only quarterback in the NFL who is the last 4,000-yard passer for not just one, but for 2 teams. The only guy who's on the list twice.
Right.
So the guy can sling the rock. He's successful. I just wonder, Rob, what's going on up there. And let me throw this to Mike, because I know Mike's been itching to get in on this. And we've talked about you guys a bit this year, but it is a quandary up there with Kwesi. I'd say on Kwesi, and then I'll throw it to Mike. My thing is, I think Kwesi went all in last year because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to maintain the roster because of salary. So he did the best he could to go as all in as he could. And you guys fell short, and now he's in that kind of result of that year. He's had to shed some things. So now he's like, so I guess I just kind of rebuild, try to be competitive. I don't know, but Mike, what do you think?
I was actually waiting to answer Rob's question on the Roquan. I was a huge Roquan fan. I'm still a Roquan fan, but if you've seen the numbers, TJ Edwards is actually 8 tackles better than him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And not to mention Edmonds is, I believe, 12th or 13th on that list. So
right,
I'll still be a Roquan fan. I still got his jersey, still got some of his stuff.
Mike, you're still a Calvin Ridley fan, and he's having a great year.
Ken, what's baffling is, you would think It's because of shooting the wad last year that we're down on money, we're making do. But the offense and defensive rankings are improved over last year through 5 games. It's unbelievable, and the defense by quite a bit.
Yeah, but the record hasn't, and I think. But then again, you can't replicate 13. You can't replicate all those 1-score wins. It's hard to replicate that.
Well, and there's one thing. We had 8 turnovers all of last year. We have 9 so far through 5 games this year. That's the story of it. But look at this is what I think is going on with Cousins. As soon as Justin Jefferson agrees to a number, because they've been talking all year long. Now, him having to go on IR for 4 games here ain't hurting or it isn't helping his cause either. Whenever he decides what that record-setting number is going to be. I've seen a lot of people that are sports writers or beat writers for Minnesota, and even some outside, independent sources say they think they actually will go ahead and say fuck it and bring Cousins back for at least a year or so, even if we do draft a rookie. Just because
I actually look at it this way, Rob. I think Cousins. How many more times I need to say it? He has been worth every single.
I agree.
He's been paid, and it's so rare that you get a quarterback and then when you sign the 20 million, 30 million a year has actually been worth it. Cousins has been. And I think to just let him walk would be probably the most egregious thing the Vikings have done in decades.
Right.
And so maybe I'm wondering too, is Jefferson going to look for what, 30, 33, 34 million a year? And then maybe Kirk's like, look, I'll take the hometown discount and give me, 3 or 4 years at 15, 20 per. You don't have to pay. You've already paid me. How much?
He already offered to take a discount too.
Well, listen, Kirk Cousins is a smart guy. Okay, you got to compare us to with the Bears and stuff like that. We didn't do this, but Kirk Cousins would be a fucking hell of a quarterback to sit behind and learn from. Look what happened to Green Bay and stuff like that. With Aaron Rodgers, with Brett Favre. A lot of these teams, these young quarterbacks are sitting a year, sitting 2 years behind their starting quarterback. It'll be a great learning experience, especially from Kirk Cousins.
And here's the thing. Kirk plays just the rest of this season out. He has already passed Tommy Kramer for every stat to move up to number 2 all time for the Minnesota Vikings, except for yardage. I think he needs about 2,300 more yards ish.
And he'll get that.
And he'll get that easily. And he'll literally be the number 2 all-time franchise quarterback behind Fran Tarkenton. And we still have 50% or 40% of our fan base that wants to do nothing but hate on this guy and whatever else. And, sometimes I think we don't deserve Cousins, and Cousins doesn't deserve all the hits that he's taken for this team and the abuse and the pain he's gone through playing behind our shitty offensive lines that we've had ever since, he's been here. And then you just get shit on by the fans. And I mean, yes, the guy is good for, like I've always said, he's good for one really bad interception a game. And then he usually comes through. They say he's not clutch. I say, how can you fucking ask for a whole lot more? I mean, you're basically asking the guy to be perfect and score every fucking time he's got the ball in his hands because our defenses have been so bad that we're allowing 30 points a game. He's done everything that's been asked of him.
You know what it is, Rob? You know what it is he's your Jay Cutler. And this is what I mean by that.
Probably.
When Jay was in Chicago, the fans hated him. And now that he's been gone, they're like, this dude was actually really freaking good in Chicago.
Right. Right.
I mean, we gave him all this hate, but he did a lot of really good things here. And especially with the battle offensive lines and the Mike Martz 7-step drop when he's getting hit by the 3rd step, but they wouldn't change the offense. Cutler, look at Cutler and Romo. And the funny thing, and you've heard me say this, Cutler and Romo, career number wise, are better than a couple Hall of Famers. And I think Kirk Cousins is in that same boat. And I think Kirk Cousins gets the Cutler treatment because he's not a Tony Romo type, which I don't get that either. But I mean, you guys have a great quarterback in Cousins. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And you know what? Oh, yeah, Lions fan, and even the Lions fans know it. He's been extremely good everywhere he's been. And you know what? We get the pleasure this weekend of watching one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL over the last decade in Kirk Cousins. And one of the up-and-coming stars who's starting to kind of come into his own a little bit with his passing game. We know he's got the run game. I think we're in for a good football game this week, good division rivalry. Two teams maybe going in opposite directions, one trending a little bit down maybe, one trending a little bit up. In a division that I think the Lions firmly hold right now. I don't think anyone can say different. With a Packers team that has no identity right now, they thought they did after week one, but they're starting to see Aaron Jones won them week one. Because everything Love did was predicated off of Aaron Jones' success. And they're starting to realize in Green Bay maybe that Love's been okay. He's not bad, but he's not, not everything they thought he was maybe. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, Mike. You hit on the head, and I alluded to it earlier. And he's got and then and we know sports and other Lions fans making comments. Yeah, I don't know if he's not as good as Goff. Okay, right now you're saying. I'll let Rob answer that one. But you can't replicate the one-score game 11-0 from last year. That's next to impossible to replicate. But Rob, what do you say to the Lions fan who's saying that right now Goff is the best quarterback in the division?
I would say this. If you took 32 general managers in the league and 32 head coaches and you lined them up in a row and you stuck Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins in front of each of them and you said you each pick somebody, 30 of the 32 are taking Cousins and not Goff.
Okay, so the Lions –
So the things that have Goff as a higher QBR right now than Kirk Cousins, a lot of that stuff is not under Kirk's control. Kirk doesn't do block for himself on the offensive line. Kirk doesn't drop passes. Kirk doesn't have passes go through his hands and end up in the hands of other players for interceptions, in the end zone and kill red zone drives. Kirk is doing his job and he's getting his ass beat. If Goff had to play behind Minnesota's offensive line, Goff would be on injured reserve right now.
So I know Goff
10 out of 10 over top of Jared Goff.
I know the Lions would take him. Who's the other? Who do you think the other team would take Jared Goff over Cousins?
What's that? Right. Who are the two teams that would take Goff? The Rams and the Lions.
Rams, yeah.
Because I bet you they kind of wish they had him back right now, don't you think?
I mean, look, I don't know. We don't know sports. I don't know. Super Bowl experience QB doesn't mean a lot because Rex Grossman is also. Wait, I got the response to this one, Rob.
Super Bowl experience.
Rob, hold on. Rex Grossman was also a Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, we can keep going and going. Yes.
Yeah,
hey, Trent Dilfer.
I said that. Yeah, I think Jared Goff is he's in a great situation for him right now. He's got a wonderful offensive line. When St. Brown is healthy, he's got a phenomenal wide receiver and Amon St. Brown. David Montgomery has been doing David Montgomery things like we all knew he would in Detroit. He runs it, he catches it. Jared Goff is in the perfect situation for Jared Goff. Kind of like when Patrick Mahomes came to KC, was the best situation any good, halfway decent rookie quarterback could have asked for is what Patrick Mahomes got in KC. And look at what it's done for his career. I think Goff is experiencing that a little bit in Detroit. And I agree with you. I think if he was playing for a team like Atlanta or maybe a team like Arizona, Goff would be out of this league in a year or two.
You want since we got the Lions fans on and paying attention, and thank you, Lions fans. You want me to really spin your heads? I have been and still am, not so much anymore, but a huge fan of Matthew Stafford. In fact, I made sure I picked him every year for my fantasy league. I personally thought Matthew Stafford was much better than Goff, and I think the Lions downgraded by putting Goff on there, but people need to change your scenery sometimes. I think it did both of them good. Stafford got a Super Bowl out of it, but the team overall paid the price because they bought that Super Bowl, and the rest of the roster hasn't been there. Goff got you a better situation on a team that's actually been drafting well. the past
we're not
5
saying
years.
that it's Goff's fault, right? I mean, it's not his fault that he's got weapons and an O-line. All I'm saying is he's benefiting greatly over that. And if he was on a team where he didn't have that, Goff's not nearly as good as you might think he is. And speaking of fantasy, Rob, you're taking 2 L's this week. Your second L, you and I are head-to-head in the roundtable league. So prepare to take 2 L's this week.
We're looking like the highest scoring matchup out of all of them too.
We are. And our division.
I finally lost last week, and you've only got 1 loss too, right?
Yeah, I've lost. The only loss I have is to the other guy in our division, Mike. Mike beat me in week 2 or something like that.
It'll be a heavyweight matchup, and I got Cooper Kupp back, so yeah.
Yeah, I got some guys back too. I actually have a lot of Fields. I might have Fields win this week. But yeah, I mean, hold on a second. I can think of a bunch of quarterbacks in history that didn't have great weapons, but
like
they
Patrick
turned
Mahomes
people into
last year.
great weapons.
I mean,
In fact, I can think of 2 from our own division, Favre and Rodgers. Favre and Rodgers were never gifted that true number 1 super stud of a receiver year after year. They made guys in careers. Like Cobb does not have Cobb's career if not for Aaron Rodgers. Jennings does not have the career he has if not for Favre. Brady has made receivers.
How about what weapons, wide receivers, really, did Jim McMahon have in that Super Bowl?
Right. Okay. Let me go even more recent than that. Anybody, and if you look at your phone, you're cheating because I don't even know the answer right offhand except for 2. Name me 3 offensive pass catchers on the Saints team that won the Super Bowl with Drew Brees. Name me 3 of his targets.
Colston.
Can't do it, can you? Right off memory.
No.
Marcus Colston?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Rob, I didn't cheat either.
No, I have my phone down. I'm telling you, some viewer can look that up. But not everybody has a Randy Moss or a Jerry Rice who Dan Marino ever even have on any of his teams, with the exception of a couple years here and there.
His rookie year, he had great receivers. After that,
right?
But like even you look at McMahon. McMahon had probably the fastest guy in the league in Willie Galt, but he also had Walter Payton. So I mean, he's not a great. Actually, he was a good quarterback in his own right, coming into the league. But yeah, Jared Goff. I think more of the point there is Jared Goff doesn't make receivers better. Was my point. Great quarterbacks can make their receivers better. I mean, and look at that's where you could say and make an argument about Fields, because has Fields made Mooney better? Not yet. Is Moore making Fields better? Probably. Did Kirk Cousins make Justin Jefferson better? I would say yes, he has. And because of his mentorship, Jefferson has turned out to be a world-class wide receiver.
And I think Cousins made Stephon Diggs a better receiver than what he is.
Yeah. Yeah, Diggs has had a good career out there. But look at Adam Thielen this year. Adam Thielen is a guy who's making his quarterback a better quarterback. So receivers can have the reverse effect, because I think Thielen is helping that Carolina team. Thielen's still putting up big. I think this Josh Allen needs Diggs.
If Jordan Addison keeps on track, everybody, and when I say everybody, I'm not specifically talking about the 3 of you on here. Everybody just likes to laugh and laugh and laugh when I said Jordan Addison has a good shot to be the offensive rookie of the year. If he keeps putting up numbers, grabbing a touchdown a week, and I think basically being the de facto number 1 in the absence of Jefferson for 4 games, he can really boost up his yardage as well. He'll be in the running back at the end of the year, I think. Is he going to win? I can't say that for sure.
There's a quarterback in Houston who's putting up stupid rookie numbers. 0 interceptions through 5 weeks. Just led a great comeback.
CJ Stroud?
Huh?
CJ Stroud.
Well,
Yeah, I picked him up on fantasy because of what he's doing.
I think the Ohio State.
Look at their schedule, though.
The Ohio State quarterbacks, I'm thinking he's going to be the first one to pull through. CJ Stroud having a hell of a year for a rookie.
Yeah, nobody is impressed by the strength of schedule that Houston is playing now.
No, but his play though has been impressive. So
yes, yeah. Like I said, I literally picked him up I'm on 7. I got 7 fantasy leagues this year. I actually picked him up on one where we've got just way too. It's like a 12 or a 14 team league. So if you have one guy get hurt, you're just fucked and you're done for the year.
Yeah.
But CJ Stroud was out there at just the right time, so I picked him up. And he's been producing. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm ready. I'm ready to pick him up and drop Joe Burrow's fucking ass soon too.
I had the Joe Burrow curse in 2 different leagues, and boy, that just pissed me off.
I got Fields this week.
And Jamar Chase.
I got Fields going this week over Josh Allen in our league. That's how much faith I have in Fields this week. Josh Allen's got a good matchup against the Giants, but I'm still going with Fields over you guys.
I think
I would almost. I'm not trying to be a homer, but you haven't seen a Brian Flores defense, especially what I'm not saying we're world board. Maybe Fields does have 400 yards and 5 touchdowns against us, but
wouldn't that be nice?
There's also opportunity. We could stick him on his ass a lot. I would almost put Josh Allen against it because damn well what you're getting with the Giants. I would almost go with that.
Josh Allen, I don't know. They might be running the ball a lot because Daniel Jones is not playing. Tyrod Taylor is. So
hey, here's one. Speaking of a guy who's had a bad season.
Well, please, week 10. Fuck.
So those fans, it's going to be interesting. I think this Sunday is going to tell. I think, look, if we get a good game, and let's say this becomes a shootout, becomes a 35-34 game, 35-38, whatever, somewhere in those lines. I think a lot of if Fields has a good game, he doesn't necessarily have to win. If he has a good QBR, doesn't throw any interceptions, which then the defense fails, and it's a shootout, right? It's just one of those defenses suck shootout, and we lose. I think Fields is safe. I think there's more on the line right now in some regard to Cousins. If you don't come out there with a W, I think it goes to like, well, you know what? We signed Jefferson, let Cousins go via trade to an Arizona or an Atlanta, or like you said, Rob, you're like, oh my God, because remember you're bound by the trade window. But we try to get something, and try to make trade capital, whatever we got to do to get one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the draft and move forward. And yeah, we might take a hit next year, but you guys are so young in so many different ways that maybe it's not a bad thing.
So, and I agree, you are limited because you do have the trade deadline coming up, but teams are going to be out there like anybody that really needs Cousins right now isn't going to the playoffs right now the way it is anyways. Why would they give us a whole bunch of draft picks this year when they can just wait and sign him for the money that they pay him anyways next year without having to give up draft picks?
Atlanta's a team that can still be in the playoff hunt, that crap division they're in.
You got Bijan Robinson. You've got a very opportunistic.
And I have a feeling in Atlanta, they're not using Kyle Pitts right. That guy was supposed to be a star in the NFL as a tight end.
He bit me on a couple fantasy football leagues too.
And Ritter is not the answer.
Desmond Ritter has not been the answer on anything. No, but
they got one of the best kickers in the league in Koo. I mean, Koo is like, he's on I draft my.
I got him on a couple too.
Yeah, I draft him because everyone overlooks him. It's like Koo is lights out, man. He's like freaking awesome.
He's almost automatic.
They're missing the quarterback in Atlanta. That's what they need. So it'd be interesting to see what Minnesota can extract for him. Maybe Ritter would have to be part of that trade if it was during the season, and a first-round pick, most definitely. I think, well, maybe not a first-round pick, but a second-round pick because he's a rental.
Well, something else to think about. We just put our backup quarterback on IR as well. We're hurting in the quarterback department like nobody's damn. We signed that fucking loser Sean Mannion back to the practice squad, for Christ's sake, yesterday. That's how bad things are in Minnesota at the quarterback position. If Kirk Cousins goes down, I mean, we're not winning games with him anyways, but at least we're looking good in losses, not counting all the turnovers. But boy, if Kirk Cousins goes down, that's such a hit that they won't win a game ever again until they get a real quarterback.
You know, we're in extra time right now, and thanks for watching. And we know sports. Always happy to have you here.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, if you like a lot of high-scoring quarterbacks slinging the ball all over the field type of game with defenses that sometimes do fun things, but generally speaking, offensives that just get chunks and chunks of yardage, you're going to like this game between the Vikings and Bears, I think. So,
right.
Yeah, I think so too. You know what? And the Lions game against the Bucs is going to be great because Baker Mayfield is having a renaissance down there in Tampa. That's going to be a fun game. Who's Green Bay got this week?
They have a bye week.
Yeah, they're on bye.
So they're going to lose to the NFL this week. That's right.
Right.
So yeah, I think we're going to have a great game. Rob, you know, thank you as always for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you, Rob.
Woody, why don't you take us home and give us the final thought for the night?
Yeah, my final thought is going to be the battle of the fucking basement, as we're going to call it. We're going to see how, you know, Kirk Cousins adjusts without Justin Jefferson, and hopefully maybe Fields can throw all over that defense, maybe another 4-touchdown game. And like I said, my prediction is that the Bears are going to have 2 more sacks this week, and we're going to win 28-25 with a Santos winning field goal. Good night, everybody.
Bear down.